And we do see life in Jonathan Huberdeau a little bit, which is, interesting for me.
Yeah, we're not sure whether this is like, should we really be giving a guy flowers when he's had an 18-game goalless drought and had no points in December until New Year's Eve?
Christoph Olawa also scored at one point.
Right? Or is it like, hey, he's turned it around? Because we've kind of had a few of these games this year where it's like, hey, he's turned it around, and then it's like another 18 games.
It's a tough room. It's a tough room for Huberdeau. We're going to need a little bit more.
It's when you make $10.5 million, like you're expected to do this. Like we've talked about it, week after week. Like we talk about Huberdeau every week. You're expected to be good yourself and make everybody around you good when you're a $10.5 million player. But for me, I would much rather be talking, at least he scored, at least he's got an assist here. Like he's visible, because I don't know how many times he's been invisible where you're like, okay, didn't see him tonight. Didn't, the coach is trying to find a spot for him, moving him around, all of that. You're right. What is it? Glass half empty, half full, but at least the team is winning, and I think they feel pretty comfortable right now.
Pinder made a good point last night on Afterburner about the fact that every team in the league, like Minnesota, stood out because they buried those two or bought those two contracts out. It was $15 million amongst the two of them,
14.7 this year.
And then last night they had a bunch of injuries. They had half their salary cap out of the lineup. Yes,
they had less than $42 million on the roster out of the 83.5 you get. It was like less than half their cap was just rotting or buyouts or dead.
So every team deals with money that isn't well spent. And if Huberdeau can put up a few points, at least you're getting something out of it. So it is better to see him score. It is better to have an assist. It is better to it actually looked like he was smiling and loose again a little bit last night after scoring, which I think is a positive sign. And if you're going to get a little bit out of him, at least it's something, because dead money is.
Well, let me ask you this, and I should know this, but Pinder, you'd probably know it because you know the numbers and stuff. But has he had a stretch where it's like this guy's had 12 points in 13 games type of like? Has there been a stretch? No. Yeah, there hasn't been a stretch.
I thought he had 7 points in 5 games to start the season last year or something like that. Like he came out of the gates decent.
But that, like, McJesus does it. McJesus is going to win the Art Ross. Like you just expect certain guys to just go, okay, yeah, they were tough start or here, and then now they got it, okay? But when I think of Huberdeau, I don't know if I can think of a time where it's like, you flick on the Calgary Flames page and it's like Huberdeau on fire, 12 points in his last 7 games. Calgary, won 5 in a row, led by Jonathan Huberdeau. Like that's never been the case, correct?
No.
Not even.
There's not even been a signature Huberdeau game in my mind where it's like, wow, he went off like he single-handed. Like we're talking about probably 120 games now as a Flame.
Right. That's where the glass half empty, is you're going, okay, yeah, like we want the points, we want that, but we haven't seen like the statement game. We haven't seen where it's like, hey, they needed a big play for a game-tying goal. Do you remember that play? You remember that, like
you've never even clamored to have him on the ice in those situations.
No, even in the shootout, people are getting mad when he's out there. And he was 4 for 7 last year, I think.
And he's earned it. It's hard. You want him to do better and you want to, but it's like Pinder said, he's 120 games in. The situations have been available to him to make a statement and to put up a point when it's important. He's not done it. And so I think it's a long way from where you're going to rely on him to be a point producer. You hope not to change the lines.
You just mentioned, like the fans get frustrated, guaranteed every time he's out there or they lose. He trends on Twitter because people are like, oh my God, here's dead money, dead weight, you name it. Is there anything that he can do? Because it's like the fan base has made their decision. What can he do, if anything at all, where he puts himself on the right side of, he's won the fan base back over?
That's going to be a long, hard road. But I still believe we said it about, oh my God, the defenseman.
Which team?
The baggage handler.
Dougie Hamilton.
Dougie Hamilton, when he came here, he was playing 14 minutes. Right?
Well,
You're
brother
like-
was there all the time carrying his
In fairness,
bags. That's an
his
inside
brother
joke.
Freddie was the baggage handler.
Freddie was, the brother was here.
Freddie was
He
always there,
handling
just
the
driving him
baggage.
around.
Yeah.
Didn't even play 1 year. He's just there, just dormant.
Yeah. But my point being, anyway, I'm kind of beating around the bush here. He needs to play every other shift. If the coach isn't in a position to do it because they're too close and they're playing too well, but really the way you're going to get Huberdeau out of it, and you've seen guys, Noodles, play him every other shift. You don't have time to sit and think about anything. Go.
Yeah,
Go.
Does
That's
that
the only way. And he needs 2 weeks of that. Not one
Does
game.
that have its limit though, Retro? Because at what point do you risk pissing other guys off on the bench? Huberdeau has to respond to it at least in a certain way, right? If you're going to give him 22 minutes a night, then he's at least got to give you something, because that's coming at the expense of somebody else who probably will deserve it more. At some point, the players are going to turn and be like, "I know what you're doing, but Christ,
at
this
some
guy's
point,
killing
but
us."
too bad. It's the NHL, and I'm the coach, and I get to decide.
Yeah, and I think it's important also that, like, we were talking about a 22-year-old Dougie Hamilton, 21.
Yes.
We're talking about a guy that's 30 here.
But Noodles is asking how you get him out of it. That's the way. That's the only way. And if he doesn't respond, you put him in the fucking rafters.
And to your point, like, there probably isn't a way that you get the guy back that you thought you were getting. But, if there is a way, that's probably one of the only cards they haven't really played.
And I think I'll just give my final thought on it. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that is bringing you out of your seat with wow type plays. I just think he'll be a guy that, like you say, you look at, geez, he's got 6 points his last 5 games. Well, that's been better. I don't think he's ever going to be electrifying fans or being the talk of the league. His production may just improve to a point where you're like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as it was, but he's not, people aren't rushing to get Huberdeau jerseys on their back.
Right. It's fair. He's not, in watching him now, like he's not a guy that either wows you with his speed, wows you with these, ridiculous high skill plays. If anything, sometimes, less is more. And he's a guy, when I see him, I use the phrase like empty calorie plays. You trying something, I want to make it look good, but it doesn't flash. All it does is piss people off. You're like, why the hell did you try that 25-foot pass through 4 sets of people that gets picked off and they go the other way, and now you're trapped and you give up a chance? Like, I get guys trying to be creative, but you also have to understand where you are in your career, where you are as a player, and what you can get away with. And it's just interesting now. I've been on, feels like I've been on the road for weeks, because I've been with Ottawa for quite a stretch, and I'm seeing every night different players. Like, God, I forgot how good Pedersen is. I forgot, Nathan McKinnon could be a Hart Trophy winner today, but we just kind of, they've won a cup a couple years ago. They're that good. Watching these guys command, to your point, Boomer, command a game. You're like, God, like, you're right. I don't know if Huberdeau will ever command a game, but he should be a damn good player to help somebody else command a game. That's the thing. And like a JT Miller, JT Miller is a really good supportive player to top tier guys. And I just don't see Huberdeau doing that right now, but I don't know. Maybe I've got a soft spot for him. I want to give him a little bit more here if he can go on a bit of a
I don't have a soft spot for him. I got a soft spot for the organization, and the organization is it's gonna hurt him in the long run if he can't put up 50, 60 points a year. Like,
he had the biggest drop in NHL history last year, fellas. He went from 115 to 55. He's on pace for less than 40 this year.
I would take 55. I would really be excited.
You take it to right now. Like,
he
it's
would
well
sign
off
off
last year's pace.
55 points. If they said right now, end of the season, Jonathan Huberdeau has 55 points, you would sign that deal right now.
Yeah, because he'd be more than a half point per game. He's nowhere near that now. Or, I mean, I guess he's right around that.
But you remember, if you're going to be okay with it, then you can't bitch about it.
Right? I don't bitch about him. I don't bitch about him because I've thrown in the towel on him.
Yeah, I'm
because I looked just a couple minutes ago. He had 15 goals and 55 points. That feels far and away better than what we watched on a given night, right? 15.
He's on pace for less than 40.
So
it's worse
because we don't want to beat up on him.
No, you're right. You're not here to kick him in the junk. And Rhett, I'm like you. I've got a soft spot for the organization and people in it. I love Connie's first year on the job. Like, everything involved.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.